up, baby. Go ahead.
I had nothing to say.
We watched the Super Bowl the last few drives in overtime as a show. It's pretty cool. I wish it was taped. But sometimes you make me think about the fan I am. And there's never been shame in my game on how I watch and compute and digest and process sports. I'm not ashamed. But Steiny, watching that game again, it was a reminder that the Niners were right there to have their Super Bowl victory, Kyle's first one. And it just doesn't get old talking about how close they got.
It might for 49er fans.
I'm not blaming anybody, but the bottom line is they could and should have 2 rings under Kyle Shanahan. And that's why tomorrow in Kansas City, Baltimore and Kansas City symbolize the season is back. Steiny, I'm juiced like an addict.
Okay.
I just had to get that out. I'm ready, wherever you take us.
What do you think it is about football that makes people absolutely crazy?
You don't mean that.
Yeah. No, I do.
We only get it once a week. Imagine the best feeling you guys have out there in your life.
Thursday.
You only got it once a week.
We get it 3 times a week.
Well,
Thursday, Sunday,
boy.
Sunday night.
All right, 3 times.
Monday.
But you know what I mean. It's not every day like the NBA and baseball. Steiny, that has to be it or the gambling element that has brought in the casual.
I've got one question for 49er fans. Because I've been thinking about this for a while. This is from, I believe, May.
All right.
Okay? I'm going to play some sound from Steve Young.
Steve.
And then I got a question for 49er fans. Because I don't know the answer. And I don't know that Guru knows. I don't know that any of us know. But I got to ask the question. And it's going to be a painful one. But I think there'll be some growth from it. This is Steve Young. You may have heard this before. You may not have. But it's where we're going to launch the show today. It's pretty interesting to me.
Last year, the Rams are down. The whole division's down. Seahawks are down. The Cardinals are way down. You know, in the playoffs, you play a Packer team that's been middling the whole time. You got an upstart Lions squad. You're like, that's how we get to the Super Bowl. And then you play a down year Chiefs team. Like, of all the times that you're set up to do it, that was it. But since the Ravens at Christmas, I mean, we just weren't the same. And, you know, we held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points. You could have told me, look, Patrick Mahomes won't score 3 touchdowns. We're not going to win that game. Like, you know, you're not going to walk over the Packers. We're not going to walk over the Lions. Like, things were haywire from Christmas on, and that's why last year was the time with the best roster in football to go get it done. And the fact is, it didn't happen. That happens. It happened to me. I get that. But now next year, I think the Rams will be better. I think that Marvin Harris will make the Cards better. The Seahawks will be better. The Lions will be. The Packers will be better. Like, it's going to get better, and we're probably not. I don't know if we'll get better, but hopefully we stay the same and still beat the rank and file with this amazing roster we have and the way that we are innovative. We deploy the guys on offense. Then yeah, great. What just happened was a big miss. It was too bad.
Okay.
Damn.
So if last year was a big miss and it was the one time you were going to get the Chiefs, but you couldn't get it done. And now this year the Rams, Steve Young says, are going to be better. The Packers will probably be better. Detroit's pretty good.
Facts.
I have one question for 49er fans, and it'll gauge your optimism. And it's this. Why are the 49ers going to break through this year? What is the reason? What gives you the hope? What gives you the belief that the San Francisco 49ers, after not getting it done against what many feel was a beatable Chiefs team, what will be different this year that'll allow the 49ers to win a Super Bowl? If that's the way it goes down, why? What is going to be different about this team this year, this time? And what's the difference right now between where they're at and where they were at 1 year ago today, embarking on a season after losing in the NFC Championship game? 888-957-9570. Want to hear from you. We're going to build up to the summit today. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to listen to some sound from last year's summit. But that's my question to 49er fans. How confident are you that this is the year they're going to break through? And if you think that, why? 888-957-9570. Goo, how would you answer that if I said, what's going to be the reason that the 49ers break through this year as opposed to, let's say, 4 out of the last 5 years?
I know it's Steiny and Goo going on 7 years. I don't want to, blow my load before the summit, Steiny, and who knows if that question is brought up, but I'm excited about it. But I'll say this, execution, because I got to be careful here. I don't like how the Niners offseason went. I understand guys wanted to get paid, Trent and Ayuk, and they got paid. But, boy, the Ayuk thing was filled with TNT, Steiny, a bunch of drama. But it all worked out at the end. But just watching that Super Bowl like we did before the show, the last few drives, they could have won the game with better execution. So with that said, I bring up execution, and that means everybody's at fault. So to answer your question, I'm assuming the playoffs, you handle your business, get back to the NFC Championship game, and if you get to the Super Bowl, better execution will have you with a ring and a parade here on Market Street somewhere in the city, Steiny. So that's where I'm going, execution. You say what to that?
That's not a bad one. I mean, I get it. We were watching that game. We watched the Super Bowl, a lot of the second half earlier before the show. It's funny. I watched that game or the second half and saw all those plays, and it was one of those games with the 49ers. They had a couple chances to make big plays that probably would have changed the outcome of the game, but the Chiefs seemed to make every single big play. Every single big play. But the one thing that I noted, and I told Evan this as we were watching it, and you too, I was looking at that game and seeing Mahomes make big plays, and then you see the 49ers get a field goal in the overtime and stall out. Like, not once late in that game, or let's just say the second half, was I thinking about Kyle Shanahan. I wasn't thinking about Kyle Shanahan. I saw plays being called. I saw 49er plays that were getting some yardage. I saw Patrick Mahomes do his thing. And I just, to a man, I just don't think the Niners were good enough last year. Their talent was good enough, but I don't think the 49ers were good enough in that game to win a Super Bowl. And my question is, what do you think will be different this year if you're a San Francisco 49er fan?
Dan, Steiny, I love that answer. I don't agree with it, but I got to throw this back at you when you say they weren't good enough in said game, but yet they have the talent. They had more talent than Patrick Mahomes had at his disposal. My question is, and this is not blame, I just believe this comes with the territory. If I and you can't put our finger on why the offense was so pedestrian just in the playoffs as a whole, but late in that game, why they were missing assignments and guys were coming free to bat the ball from Brock Purdy when a first down could essentially let you bleed the clock and you kick a game-winning field goal. My question to you is, doesn't that lie at the doorstep of the coach on why the team collectively, with stars everywhere, couldn't function in crunch time? They weren't, real quick before you answer.
Well, they marched down the field in overtime, and they just stalled. They just stalled. Down by the goal line, down inside the 10.
Yeah.
It happens. They just didn't get it done. That's the way I look at it. But to me, the one thing that gives the 49ers way more of an opportunity, I think, this year is...
Give it to me.
Brock Purdy is proven. Brock Purdy's proven going into this year. Whether we like it or not, and there was a lot of fingers being crossed last year, but Brock Purdy started quarterback in the 49ers halfway through the season because of injury. He got the team to the NFC title game, and then he got hurt. So we were just left with a partial resume on Brock Purdy. But he goes through another 17-game season, gets to the Super Bowl, has a lot of success, and I think he's going to be a better quarterback this year than he was last year. Not that he wasn't good last year. He was very good. Yeah. But if Brock Purdy is better than he was last year, to me, that would be the difference with the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, when I look at this roster, Christian McCaffrey, okay, we know what he's going to do. Brandon Ayuk, we know what he's going to do. Deebo Samuel, we know so much about what the 49ers are going to do from the skill positions, but the one guy who I think does have an opportunity to elevate his game is Brock Purdy. And if he can do that, then maybe they can break through. That's the one thing that I see where the 49ers have room for growth. But Steve Young even said it. He goes, I don't know if the next year's team or this year's team's going to be as good as last year's team because of age, et cetera.
And the division getting better.
Exactly.
If you believe that, which I do. But I'll tell you what, Brock Purdy in that Super Bowl, Steiny, to that point, I mean, who wouldn't bet that he's going to still progress? But at the end of the day, he definitely did not cost him that game in Vegas against the Chiefs. I thought he did well for himself in his first Super Bowl, coming back from that arm injury. But that's why I just keep staying at Kyle Shanahan in regard to your question yesterday about who's this on. And you're right. I feel confident in everybody you mentioned. It's got to be Kyle in the sense, Steiny, that in crunch time on 3rd and 2s, there are no breakdowns on the offensive line. They got to get it figured out because that arguably is why they lost that game to Kansas City.
Yeah,
you settled for 2 field goals when one drive could have kept it from going to overtime, but you had breakdown and protection. So, hey, Guru, if you're saying that, then why is your answer the offensive line? But it's the ability to know and process. Would Tom Brady or Mahomes saw my guy blitzing from Kansas City off the edge to where he and called a hot route or audibled? I do have those thoughts. I don't know, but I'm still with that, not blaming Brock. I'm just like, Steiny, Brock is here. And he did it, like you said, when he took over for injury and then came back with a bionic elbow after it had surgery and got him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like I ain't saying you're wrong.
Well, but the way I look at it is this is the Super Bowl we were talking about last year. The Super Bowl. And you said, well, Brock Purdy, I don't think he lost you that game. I agree. I don't think he lost him that game either. But he didn't win it either. And Patrick Mahomes won the game. Like he's won a lot of games over the course of his career.
Yeah.
And so if Patrick Mahomes is still out there and he's doing his thing, and the Chiefs are a year older, but that's a good thing because they have younger players, then what is going to change this year, do you think, 49er fans, to get this team over the top? And you know what? The other thing about Steve Young that's interesting is
he was honest.
Maybe we're focusing too much on the Super Bowl instead of the last 5 games of the year or the last 6 games of the year.
Now you're preaching.
They lose to the Ravens. They go into Washington. They win 27-10. Then they play the Rams in a game that they don't play a lot of their starters. They didn't play well against the Packers.
At all.
They didn't play well against the Lions.
At all.
And the Chiefs beat them. Like, the one thing, and I get it, they had their chances, but if you really, really think about it, the 49ers did not play their best football at the most important times last year.
And I don't know why, Steiny. I
think a lot of it has to do with the opponent. The opponents are better. So how do you get over, or how do you beat 3 or 4 good opponents in a row, which is what they're going to have to do to win a Super Bowl?
But Steiny, to that point, Green Bay got hot at the end, but they came in as the last seed of the playoffs, and they were on the road in the rain and gave you a scare.
Right.
So
the 49ers are not playing well.
What Green Bay's doing, they're going to be
playing well enough for us to think they could win a Super Bowl.
And what's scary to me about that, your assessment, I don't know why. I don't know what happened. But yet they were minutes away, or a play, or a first down conversion away, a third down conversion from winning the game.
I mean, I'm looking at some of their wins this last year. They beat Tampa Bay. They beat Seattle.
I thought Dallas was their best win.
They beat the Eagles. They beat Dallas.
No, Philly was their best. My bad, because Philly still hadn't fell off at that point.
Arizona. The other thing, they averaged 40 points a game against the Arizona Cardinals last year in 2 wins. They hammered the Giants. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars,
who had won 5 in a row at that time.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah. Well, maybe there were some, and that's why I don't know where Wilkes is at. Evan, maybe you can help me. I forgot what staff he's on, but I'll say this. You talked about Arizona. They beat them by 40 points. In one of those games, Arizona, I believe it was on the road, ran for 232 yards on the Niners. Like, yeah, you won by 40, but maybe that was a sign that we were just like, we omitted from our mental Rolodex thinking, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But then we saw Detroit gash the Niners in a half. We saw Green Bay and Aaron Jones, almost break one to end the game. So, no Greenlaw, a first-year defensive coordinator. The IU, doesn't matter if he missed OTAs. I'm not being pessimistic, but Steiny, I do wonder, and I feel differently going into this year from a Niner standpoint of how far can they go less confidently than I did last year. And I just kind of just let you know why. If you think it is fair or foul with the Trent out, IU called out, if that means anything, no Greenlaw, no Hufanga, maybe it'll mean nothing.
I don't know. I don't know. 888-957-9570. If you want to jump into the conversation, what's going to be different this year for the San Francisco 49ers? Like, do you think, I get it, they were 12-5 last year. They get to the Super Bowl. I'm looking at their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. They scored 30 or more early in the season in their first 5 games. Where was that offense the last 5 games? I don't know. You tell me. Did teams catch up to the 49ers offense late in the season? Or did they catch up to the 49ers in total, not just offensively, but all throughout the offense, defense, and special teams? And do you look at last year as though the 49ers, I know they had their chances. But Patrick Mahomes was the best player on the field, and Patrick Mahomes guided the Chiefs to a title, and the question now becomes, can Brock Purdy do the same for the San Francisco 49ers? Can he lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl?
But he had a spectacular, just because I got my boy Raymond texting me saying the answer to Steiny's question is what Steiny said. Brock Purdy will be better. In what juncture last year did we say he needed to be? He was almost spectacular the whole way through. Except the playoffs is when I first start scratching my head as to, and I'm not just blaming him. What the hell's going on? But he let him down the field in the drive, in a last-minute drive to win the game. Austin from San Jose, my best friend here, Steiny. Guru moonwalking on this Super Bowl prediction for the Niners. No, Austin. That's tomorrow's show. But I said it was going to be the Rams and Niners in the NFC Championship game. I'll tell you who wins tomorrow. Yeah, Austin.
And take that prediction tomorrow for whatever you want. Guru's predictions.
Well, you got Kyle. I'll never win a Super Bowl.
Guru.
Don't roll your eyes. Guru. You said that to all of us. It's in the cap. I'm not messing with you.
Guru.
Just said it. But you always want to point out my flaws and my predictions. It's called a take. You had a take, and it was,
Guru.
Bay Area, I don't think the Niners are going to win one. Under Kyle, I loved it. Doesn't mean you want to be right.
Do you remember the context, Goo?
What was the context?
Do you remember the context?
No, remind me.
We did a whole show on bad takes, on predictions we made or opinions we had that were wrong. Okay, so at the very end of the show, you say, go make a bold take about something. It's a throwaway line.
Oh.
It was a throwaway line.
Whoa. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, for a hot take?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's a hot take. That's all it was.
I just
see. I don't believe
my utility belt.
I don't believe
it's a throwaway line, Steiny.
I mean, I don't believe. Apparently, like a lot of 49er fans believe that if Kyle Shanahan's the head coach, they can't win a title.
I'm not there yet either.
I don't buy that. I don't believe that.
But you do want to. You just want to cash in this great era of Niner football and a roster they built. Like I want Kyle to win it for Kyle. Like watching him in anguish walk off that field and after watch Andy Reid get up off the ground, the fat man get up off the ground after celebrating with his coaches. It's like Kyle's experienced that twice. And regardless, if you want to say he's responsible, Steiny, he's dealt with Heartbreak Hotel as the offensive coordinator when they collapsed in Atlanta. Not blaming him. It's like, man, you want to see him win it all.
So let's just say, because this has been my frustration with this whole thing, is let's say I agree with you.
Okay.
Let's say I feel like Kyle took the choke and he made bad decisions and this team blew it. They blew it. They should have won. They blew it. They can't get it. Okay, like, what does that mean? Okay, they lost a close Super Bowl in overtime. The fans were really disappointed, but it's like, okay, what does that mean going into this year?